Today's special guest, the honorary guest, Miss TONYA Sweat, for County Executive. Yours truly. Y'all know who it is. It's your boy, Mr. Uncut. Y'all know the mission of Uncut Live is where we focus on mind, body, soul, spirit, faith, social issues, politics, community. You know, this is your empowerment platform for the people. As I always say, we keep it 100 or 1,000. We will not be paused, edited, or muted. Whatever you see, hear, hey, cards lay how they lay. And it just doesn't get no realer than that. Y'all, we are winding down month of Black History. Even though Black History is not just combined in 1 month, we are Black 365 days a year. So, y'all know on this platform, we always coming with the heavy hitters. We're always coming with our honorary guests. Y'all know this familiar, beloved angel, the beloved Miss TONYA Sweat. Y'all know every time that we meet come onto the set of Uncut Live Productions, we're talking about the real deal as it relates to Prince George's County, Maryland. But not only just in Prince George's County, Maryland, we talk about issues as a people of color, of the Black and brown community. And I just thought it was very fitting while we are here in the month of February, month being Black History, that we start really getting a handle and a grip on the real issues within the Black community. We kind of just, talk about the struggle, but even in the midst of the struggle, talking about how to overcome, talking about looking up to the icons of Ida B. Wells. As you may y'all know, we get a transition into Women's History Month. Madam C.J. Walker, Rosa Parks, Harriet Tubman. These are icons. These icons, they're not just stories. These are blueprints. This is the foundation in which that we can advance. These are not just stories to hear and read for entertainment, but these are stories that have created the segue for us to glean, to take things to the next level, to not just settle. Many of you either may or may not know, maybe you've been following me on Instagram. I posted a post and I said, the patriarchs, the civil rights leaders fought for civil rights. Today, Americans are fighting for hierarchy of needs. I'm gonna just let that marinate a little bit. Civil rights leaders fought for civil rights. And in today, with being the 22nd century, a lot of Americans, individuals, are fighting for Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Unfortunately, even in the midst of this being the United States, we have the haves and the have-nots. I know you say, man, you coming on here, you wanna talk about that? Yes, because in order for us to progress forward, we've got to start tackling these issues, the elephant in the room. Why is it in Prince George's County, Maryland, that is deemed as the Black Mecca, quote unquote Atlanta, the wealthiest county, that our constituents that are unhoused or housed, that I might say, have to fight to get a bed, a cot, in a shelter with no proper heating, HVAC system not working properly. Let's really talk about, is this really gorgeous? And then when you say gorgeous, you have to put a push pin and say, gorgeous for who? We've got to get to a place whereby that when these issues come up, that we really emphasize and practice do unto others as we would have done unto us. Do we care about our black brother? Do we care about our black sister? Do we care about our handicapped individuals? Do we care about the less fortunate? And I'm not talking about on a holiday. Let's be very clear. I take nothing away from Christmas. But I just want to say, we're not just human on Christmas. We're not just human on Thanksgiving. We're human every day of the week. And so we, as a people of the black and brown, Latino, Afro, Latino community, we've got to really start embracing the king, the queen inside of us. And so I thought someone who's very fitting, and you can just chime right on in and just dig into, this conversation. I mean, you're someone that been to school. You've had a chance to see challenges, but sometimes we don't necessarily put out the process.
We don't put it on Front Street.
Yep.
There is, and it is a process. There's a process. Well, thank you for having me back. I gotta say that first and foremost. It's always good to be back because we can have open, honest dialogue. We can have conversation about what's happening in our community. The process starts from the day we're born. Actually, from the day we're conceived. The human process starts at conception. And you're right. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is so true, because if you don't have food, shelter, water, the basic needs, you don't feel secure, you're not going to thrive. Nothing else matters. We don't even get to self-respect, self-esteem, and self-valuation without the basic needs. So we talk about children who have to go to school to eat because mom and dad can't, for whatever reason, afford to provide healthy meals at home. Well, if they're not getting fed, education is just not going to happen. Because the only thing that matters at this point is survival. And in order for me to survive, I got to eat, I got to drink. I got to be protected from natural elements, or I'm just going to die. That's just natural instinct in us. Once we get beyond that first level, that base level, and you start talking about emotional needs. I need to know that I'm loved. I need to know I'm valued. We're human. We need a touch. We all do. We all do. We were made that way. And I don't care how much food you give me, how much water you give me. I can have the best house in the world. I can have clothes on my back. But if I don't feel loved emotionally, if I'm not emotionally safe with you, it doesn't matter. I'm no good. It's only, and it will only be when we take care of those first two levels in our community that we're going to get to that place where we have self-respect, a high self-esteem and valuation, such that everything we get, we know we deserve. And then we accept everything that we get, the blessing that comes, and we thrive in that, and we shine. We got some work to do. Everybody want to know, in my run for county executive, what's your platform? I'm sticking with the 3 C's. I feel no need to change it. Children, community, competence. And those 3 C's speaks to that Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Let me take care of my babies. I got to stop this pathology. I got to stop the cycle that we're in, the insanity that we're in. We got to go back to basics. And I'm starting with the children because if we raise them right, they'll be okay. And I know, I acknowledge, because I'm an adult, old dog don't change their habits. And I'm not calling anybody dog because I'm 50, half a century, okay? So I'm talking about myself. I'm setting my ways. There's some things I'm just going to do by nature. That's just who I am. It's harder to influence adults. It's harder to motivate sometimes adults to change direction, especially if they're comfortable. So that's a different challenge. But what I do know is our children sometimes can motivate us to change in ways that other adults can't. So I'm going to start with my babies. I got to give them the best possible opportunity for success that we can. And I'm going to fight for that. And when I say I'm going to fight for that, I'm going to fight for that till I can't fight anymore. And then I'm going to address the needs of the community. And as adults, we don't recognize sometimes that our needs go back to a basic level. Yeah, I got money so I can buy the food. I pay for the roof over my head. Yeah, I can buy a nice car. So I'm not at the foundational level on that hierarchy of needs. I'm on level number 2. I'm not emotionally secure. For many of us, it goes back to our childhood. It goes back to childhood. There's that little child in us that's still looking for acknowledgement, love, appreciation, a voice. And so as adults now, we struggle. We act out. We do crazy stuff. We self-medicate. We drink. We smoke. You name it. We do it because we don't know how to deal with that internal emotional turmoil. And so I tell people, we talk about mental health. It ain't just about mental health because we're not all crazy. Our brains are working okay. Sometimes it's emotional health, and not dealing with your emotional health will drive you to a place of needing attention in the mental health spectrum. So we got to address it. We have to address it. And let me tell you, for women, because I am a woman, we got the same issues as our brothers do. They're just on a different level, on a different spectrum. We're all dealing with the same issues. We're just showing them in different ways. That's what it boils down to.
That's really profound. I mean, that's really profound. I can't think of any other way of, when you talk about the human diaspora, sometimes we've become out of touch of humanism is what I like to call it. We've come out of touch with humankind. and we often quantify the reality of an individual. I'm gonna go here. Yeah, I know this is this. I'm gonna put my little dissertation that I did in my philosophy class. I said we can resolve issues in the world if we started operating from the place of being humanistic and not trying to quantify the individual of a person based upon these constructs that at the end of the day, we're humans. And so we kind of put people in boxes because they don't think like us. They don't look like us. They don't talk like us. Let's keep it a bean. They don't make the same money as us. They may not drive the same car. They may not live in the same neighborhood. And unfortunately, I gotta go here too. They don't go to the same church. Or they're not in. I'm not trying to take any shots against my fraternities or my sororities, because at the end of the day, we're still human beings. Had we not taken a lesson from the beloved who in the Bible, we know about the individual, the man that was happened to be riding along on his horse, and he saw the man that was in distress. They were different cultures, if you may. But the man that was on the horse, he didn't look at that because he saw the individual as being a human. And sometimes we use rhetoric, is what I like to call it. We use nonsense. We use these fences, these constructs, to determine as to whether or not we're going to help an individual. And that is what I mean, I know we got to get real with it and deal with it. And these are the kind of conversations that we have to have on the table. We talk about, y'all see me out in the community, put the guns down, right? But a lot of us fail to realize that it's not even the actual gun that needs to be put down. Let's keep it all the way a stack. Let's keep it a stack. It's not even just that gun, because we use guns of belittling. We use guns of hate. We use guns of judgment. We use guns of condemnation. We use guns of shame. We use guns of, well, that person is of this gender, that person is of this creed, and that person is of this and that. And in reality, we're all fighting for the same thing of wanting to feel safe, wanting to be who we are as individuals. The real reality of what it takes to exist in the realm of humankind. And nobody wants to talk. Right up, Bentley. I make my 6 figures. What I need to worry about that and that man. He need to do what I do. I pull my boots up. He just need to pull himself up. Lazy. So now we generalize. We generalize, so now we use the generalization. So now the generalization now becomes as a gun, because now we quantify one's person just based on that, not realizing that is an individual. You know, these are the conversations that we have here on Uncut Live in the month of Black History, because we got to get real with it and deal with it. We got to start really getting to the root of these issues. I go in the community, tell the individuals to put the guns down, but individuals are like, hey, the gun is not is that was the last resort. There were other things that came up in the realm
Mm-hmm.
that was getting. I spoke with a young individual out in the beloved Landover, and he told me, he said, one of the things that happens to keep transpiring within the community from adults is that he said oftentimes the youth are always told what they're not doing is right, but nobody actually takes the time with what to do. Nobody actually even commends what they are doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, earlier today, before on the set, in the service, I had brought up Curtis Mayfield,
Mm-hmm.
and in the song Superfly. Think about some of the stuff he was that he was saying in that song. I'm a pusher. I'm a dope dealer. I'm this. And this brother was this. This is what he was saying. I mean, y'all, this is what he was saying. And then sometimes I kind of laugh, at my seasoned folks, because they like, you hear this garbage within Future. Future is saying Percocets. Okay, well I'm like, well, you know what? It's not really too much of a difference between the two. One is saying Percocets, and the other one's saying weed. And so I love my seasoned community. They say, well, we weren't as out there as y'all are. Well, I'm like, okay, well, I mean,
everything done in the dark is gonna come to the light eventually.
But these are the kind of things that we don't often really look at from the grand scale.
Correct, and we live what we learn. We live what we learn. I borrow that phraseology, and I can't remember the psychologist's name. She said, children live what they learn, but it's not just children. We live what we learn. We learn it as children. We live it as adults. Mm-hmm. Bottom line. One of the conversations we have in my house often is about our children. My husband and I have several children, but we have one left in the house right now who's under the age of 18. And I've always been, as a mother, I've always been of the mindset that my children are humans just like I am. My job is to guide them and to help them become who they were created to be. And so I'm one of those mothers who I allow my children to have their emotions. I don't deny them that. I allow them to speak their minds. I don't chastise them when they have outbursts out of emotion. They're human. Now, I don't allow my children to be disrespectful. There's a way to do everything. But I don't take offense to much. My husband's slightly different. He's a little more old-fashioned than I am. We both, my husband and I, grew up in an era where children were to be seen and not heard. Children didn't have an opinion. Nobody cared about your feelings as a child. And I, as a child, rebelled against that. Not that I wanted to be seen, but I wanted to be acknowledged. I am a person. I have my own thoughts, my own feelings, my own mind. I have free will. I came here that way. And this is not about civil rights. This is basic human rights. And so I made a decision long before I even had children that I would respect my children as individuals who come here with a mind, opinions, thoughts, feelings. And they're going to express them. My job is not to curtail them or stunt them or prohibit them even. My job is to just show them how to do it in a constructive way so that one, they give themselves a voice and know it's okay to feel the way you feel. And they're comfortable sharing those feelings so that it can be addressed in the appropriate fashion. Now that, and I'll use my baby girl, she's 10. I'll use her as an example. She knows she can express her feelings. Now I'm teaching her they're your feelings. Just because you're mad don't mean I gotta do anything about it. Hey, you mad. You need to figure out why you're mad. And then own it, learn the lesson from it, and do what needs to be done so that whatever it was that triggered anger in you doesn't trigger it anymore. Because I notice a lot of adults have feelings, but they think other people are responsible for their feelings. No. Nobody can do to me any more than I allow them to do. You can't make me mad. If I get mad at you, there's a button in me that you triggered, that you pushed, and you may not even know you would push that button. I need to understand what in me caused me to erupt in anger. And sometimes the anger we feel is truly not anger. We just have learned to respond to everything in anger. Sometimes you may have pushed the button of disrespect. And I got mad because you triggered that feeling of disrespect. And instead of looking at you saying, Kenneth, you just disrespected me and I don't appreciate it, I get mad at you and I act out in anger. Not good. So we also have to learn that there is a spectrum, a wide spectrum of emotions. Happiness and joy are not the same thing. Happiness and giddiness are not the same thing. You can be angry, you can be disappointed, you can be frustrated, you can be stressed, you can be sad, you can be confused. Those are different types of emotion. And some of us are not comfortable with our own emotions, and so we get angry because we're having an emotional response. But guess what? That's human. Your emotions are there to tell you something. You need to do something about them. Good, bad, or neither. Sometimes it's just for you to feel it. One of these conversations that I don't have often, but I'm gonna go there. Many of us, because we don't know how to acknowledge and give voice to our emotions, we feel we must numb them. And you pick your poison of choice. Alcohol, tobacco, marijuana, cocaine, opioids, heroin. Pick your poison. We use them to numb the feelings that we have. Not healthy.
And this is a hardcore fact that I know to be true, because within the We Take Care of Us movement, I've been engaging with my young men. And I'll speak on the men side of things, because what we have done, you kind of just touched on a lot. You hit on a lot. What we have done within the culture, or just through whatever, the multiple influences as far as men, men have been taught you don't be emotional.
Right. We tell our boys you don't cry. You're absolutely right.
We don't cry. And in the midst of this, I'm going here. When we see what's happening as far as domestic violence is concerned, Now, by all means, what I'm about to say, y'all, I'm not saying this as a means for an excuse because no man should put his hands on a woman, period. So, but nobody,
no person,
no person. But
there are women who abuse too, you know. Let's just keep it real.
Yeah, that is
keep it real.
That is true.
I'm just saying.
We have in our groups, in our intimate groups with our men, we've talked about how that men have not been able to either attend to a woman's emotion because they first have not been taught how to deal with their own emotions. And so what happens is men grow up, they transition from boys to men, and then what happens is because they have not been taught, they have not been trained, they have not been taught that there's a healthier way to deal with their emotions. So what happens is they begin to, because they have not been taught, they have been taught from the time of infancy. So now that they're in adulthood, and so then now they have behaviors that exemplify unbecoming behavior, and we don't like to have these these real issues. And so when we hear in the community, we see the domestic violence that's taking place, we see the guns being used, the physical guns, not identifying that there were not things that should have been taught to implement. So now what happens is now these vices have now become the things that's bringing the damage. They're
traps.
They're traps, and it's causing the harm in the community. It's causing what we're seeing. So then we're like, you know what? Because nobody wants to deal with it.
Right.
And these are the things, y'all. We believe it or not, these are some of the kind of conversations that I can promise you was had amongst our beloved individuals when it comes to the civil rights movement. You know what I'm saying? And what we have got to do with this being the spirit of Black history, right? Our differences, our uniqueness should not be a means of where we create, divide, and conquer.
Right.
I actually have the picture of my seasoned folks kind of said this picture should not have been shown to us millennials, us younger people. Is the picture of Dr. King and Malcolm X, and I'm just like, I love it. I love the fact that because when you look at these two icons, now don't get me wrong, y'all. I know that Black history is beyond just Dr. King and Malik Shabazz. I get that, but right now I'm just kind of just honing in on this because I love the fact that they did have their differences. But what history did not tell us is that they came to an agreement and said, you know what? Yeah, your method. Yeah.
They had a mutual respect for each other.
And they didn't use their differences. I mean, at first it kind of got a little ruffled. They ruffled some feathers. But then they realized they had enough maturity to come to the forefront and say, you know what? Mm-hmm. We are about fighting for Black liberation of our people. I forget the speech, but there's a speech done by the beloved Malcolm X. And he talked about how the different people from the different faiths came to the, I forget the name of the organization, because even in this speech he says, I'm a Muslim, but that has nothing to do with the fight for liberation.
Exactly.
And that is what we have got to do when it comes to uplifting our people, loving on our people, no matter the creed, origin, social economic status, gender,
Exactly.
whatever, because we're human beings.
Right.
And at the end of the day, we are all we got and we are all we need. And it's going to take us to tap in and realize that we're all the same to a certain extent, and that we're in this race to conquer, to live, to be the rightful kings, the rightful queens that we've been called for.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that just because differences come up into the play, that should be a reason why we should be hating each other, hating our sister, black man hating another black man seeing the other black man as the enemy. No, we've got to come to a spiritual awakening, a humanistic awakening, and say, you know what, we all we got, we all we need. So this, I really, as an honor.
I mean, we've got to get back to having honest conversation. I respect the barbershop. I always have. Because growing up, I learned from my grandfather, from my uncle, from other men in the family that was a place where the men would go and have honest conversation with other men. And so I have one son, and I used to tell people I don't go to the barbershop. People look at me, what? I wouldn't go. Because I respected that as a place, a safe space for my brothers. Mm. And so my son, when he was younger, would go to the barbershop with the men. And there were occasions when I had no choice. I had to take it. The men just weren't available in the family. They weren't available. And I'd go in the barbershop and I'd find a seat in a corner and keep my mouth shut. I'd act like I wasn't there. Because again, I respected the barbershop as a safe space for men. Hair salon. Men in my family tell you they don't do hair salon because it's just a bunch of cackling women in there gossiping. But again, similar to the barbershop, it's a safe place for the sisters to go and fellowship and have conversations. We need more of that. We need more of that. But we also need a space where men and women can join together and have safe conversations, honest conversations about our relationships and our relations with each other. I love having conversations with people, no filter, no mask, just let's just talk heart to heart. Let's just communicate. The sad thing for our younger generations, our children, is they're so stuck on technology, and I hate social media. And social media now, they can't have those conversations. They're uncomfortable sitting in a room of people, taking off the mask, being honest about their feelings and their thoughts, because it's easy to say through technology what you want to say, because you don't have to worry about the backlash. You don't have to worry about the possible physical response. And I'm not talking about a fight or argument. I mean, our children can't read nonverbal cues now. They don't understand body language because they're so accustomed to typing words on a screen, and they don't know how you respond on the other side. They can see you. So we were watching the news just last night, And they were talking about the anxiety and the stressors that children are feeling going back to school. And with the discussions of taking off the mask. That's part of it. Because now I'm forcing you to interrelate to me face to face, one on one. And we've taken them out of that setting because of COVID. Nobody wanted to do this, but we had to take them out for health reasons, to protect people's health. Well, now we're reintroducing you into this environment, and for a year and a half, 2 years, you've been accustomed to communicating through a medium, a barrier. Again, going back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where we started, when you can't communicate one-on-one and in person and get those needs met, those emotional needs met, to throw you back into that environment and say, do it, is scary. I don't know how you're going to respond to me. I don't know how I'm going to deal with the possible rejection if you don't like what you hear coming out of my mouth. Social interaction. And we're losing that. Somehow we've got to get that back. And in getting back to that piece of who we are as humans, it then builds community. Because we'll want to assimilate and affiliate and be around those, fellowship with those who make us feel safe, even if we are different. Those people who say it's okay to be you. Those people who validate us for who we are and say you're no less than I am, even though you may not look like me, you may not sound like me, you may not act like me, you may not do what I do. It doesn't mean you're less valuable than me. We got to get back to that, because without it, we're going to continue the conflict, the wars, the battling, the fighting, because the ego in us says, I'm a Christian, diehard Christian, not ashamed of it. No, I don't walk around quoting the Bible, but I love the Lord and I try to live it every day. But I always go back to Genesis in creation. When God created Adam, he gave Adam dominion and control over everything he had created on the earth. Nowhere in my Bible does it say God gave Adam dominion and control over man.
That's real. We see y'all. This the kind of I don't want to end, that I know we wrapping in or closing in on time, But these are the kind of real. This is what Uncut Live. I tell you, every time you come here, it just seems like it's just like, man, we just. We just,
Hey, man, I'm good. I'm comfortable with me, so it's okay. I don't mind saying some stuff that other people will say. She said, what? Yeah, I said it. What? Now what? What we gonna do?
This is real. This is what we got to do. Ladies and gentlemen, please don't forget to go to TONYASweat.com. Please, you can even feel free to reach out to me, to get involved, to get engaged. I've had several people say they don't like what's happening within Gorgeous Prince George's. I have had a lot of people reach out to me, say they want something different, they want to see change. So guess what?
It starts with us.
We got to become the change that we want to see, and it starts with us. In the words of Michael Jackson, man in the mirror. And so we got to put our hands to the plow. We got to get involved. We got to get engaged. And so there you have it. My brothers and sisters, we got to become the change that we want to see. And it's time for us to step up to the plate, treat each individual as the human beings that they are, regardless of differences, regardless of beliefs, social economics, faith, whatever. We got to step up to the plate, and we got to really represent the patriarchs who came before us, all in the spirit of Black history. Yours truly, y'all, I haven't said this in a while, but guess what? You just got plugged in with your boy, Mr. Uncut. Y'all can go out and make it a great day, make it a great week. Continue to follow Uncut Live Productions on Facebook. Continue to follow me on Instagram at Change Agent Now Forever. As I always say, we all we got, we are all we need. Peace and blessings.